Hi, this is Lane 8492. I've decided to do one more true crime story video for this evening and for today. This is out of the case in the town of Dale up in Spencer County in the state of Indiana. This is the case of death row inmate Roy Lee Ward. You see, Roy Lee Ward was a known sex offender who had a previous criminal conviction for stuff like indecent exposure and public indecency. And he's been convicted of it many times, and he was on probation. Apparently, Roy Lee Ward was driving through the neighborhood in the town of Dale when he noticed 15-year-old Stacy Payne sunbathing in the backyard of her home. And that's when Roy Lee Ward chose 15-year-old Stacy Payne as his target. And he wound up breaking into the house where Stacy Payne, 15, and her younger sister, 14-year-old Melissa Payne, were. Of course, Melissa Payne, who was 14, was napping when Roy Lee Ward broke in, and Melissa was awakened by Stacy's screams, and there she saw Roy Lee Ward on top of her sister as he had bludgeoned her and brutally slit her throat after Roy Lee Ward had sexually assaulted 15-year-old Stacy Payne. And of course, when Roy Lee Ward was arrested, Melissa Payne identified Roy Lee Ward as the perpetrator who had attacked and sadly killed her sister. Roy Lee Ward was found guilty and sentenced to death. He did win a new trial and he pled guilty, but there was no plea bargain on the table for Ward, and he was sent back to death row, where he's currently held at the Indiana State Penitentiary in Michigan City, Indiana. And he was given a date of execution, but it was halted. But this time, there's no chance of Roy Lee Ward's execution being November 10th. Now that all of his appeals are officially exhausted. However, his lawyers have until the end of this month to challenge the setting of his execution date. And the governor, Michael Braun, intends to buy more lethal injection drugs to carry out his execution. This will be the third execution in the state of Indiana after a 15-year hiatus, because at the end of last year, Indiana executed Joseph Edward Corcoran. I did a true crime video on him. And then a couple months ago, Indiana executed Benjamin Donnie Ritchie. And of course, I did a true crime story video on him. And probably after Roy Lee Ward is executed, Indiana's Attorney General will request a date of execution for death row inmate Eric Donnell Holmes, because he's exhausted all of his appeals and there are no legal impediments roadblocking an execution being set for him. But when that one gets set, I'll do a true crime story video on him. But the lawyers argued that Roy Lee Ward had low intelligence, mental retardation, mental illness, and sicko exhibition behavior. And of course, what he grew up with is not an excuse for him to do what he did. And of course, Roy Lee Ward has been on death row for 24 years. And it's a tentative execution date, but it will be finalized by the end of this month. Well, hope you enjoy this video and let me know what you think. Thanks.